Hey, it's that time again for another Global Winning Women live chat, and this time I'm chatting to marketing coach Stephanie Ward, who's over in Holland. Now, before I introduce you to Stephanie and bring her on the call with us, I want to tell you a little bit about her. Stephanie's known for helping business owners get really clear about their businesses, and then she's really good at generating marketing ideas that are a perfect fit for them. And I think this is just something that is so key. You know, we can follow all the marketing advice out there, but if you don't really know what's a fit for your business, then it's kind of a dodgy area. So I know that Stephanie's really passionate about helping business owners grow their businesses into long-term sustainable enterprises, you know, and have a great life at the same time. Who doesn't want that? So she's a great person to be having on our call today. And, you know, how does Stephanie do that? Well, she does this by combining her business and marketing background along with her coaching skills as well as her own experience. You know, she's got a master's degree in communication and a BBA degree in business management. So, Stephanie, are you there?
I'm here. Hello, Alison. It's great to be here.
Oh, I'm so delighted to have you with us on this Global Winning Women live call. And I know, you know, we were having a little chat, weren't we, just before we went live. And I was just saying, you know, I'm not sure really why we haven't connected at a deeper level before today. I've been following you for several years, you know, and I know that you have some amazing marketing material that I really would love to invite you to share with Winning Women. And I'd love to dig in deep straight away. You know, don't want to do all the fluffy stuff around the edges. I want to get in there with this because I think it's so important. I've got a few questions I'd like to ask you, Stephanie, and I think, you know, obviously they're all going to be around marketing, but one of the ones that I want to ask you is about the mistakes we're making. I know I've made tons over the years, some really quite expensive things along the lines of advertising when I just didn't know anything about running a business. So, you know, from your point of view, what are the biggest mistakes you see business owners making with their marketing?
That's a great question. And related to what you just said about making a mistake with spending money on advertising, that's one of the first points is that people are usually not clear about their who and their what. So what it is, who they're serving, and what it is that they want to help them do. And if you're not clear about that, then you can waste a lot of money with advertising and other marketing strategies because you're out there trying to appeal to everyone. And once you can get more clear about actually who it is you want to appeal to and what specific solution you help those people solve, things become a lot easier.
And you know, I think this is so key, and one of the things that our listeners are going to probably get a bit fed up with me saying this, but you know, our businesses evolve all the time. It's something that I talk about a lot, and I think, you know, even if we've got people listening on the call right now who may have been in business for quite some time, I think it's really important to go back and actually reevaluate who they're marketing to, you know, on a regular basis.
I agree 100%. Absolutely. I mean, it is evolving, and things do change, and you can refine it. You can make it more focused, and it's only going to help you. So it's good to revisit that frequently. I agree 100%.
Yeah, and, you know, the reason I wanted to share that, Stephanie, was very much, you know, I didn't really want anybody coming to the call thinking, oh, yeah, I've heard all this before. You know, I think it's all too easy to do that, and I'll hold my hand up. I've done it myself in the past, and it's really good to refresh on this stuff on a regular basis. Keep coming back to it, because every time you do, you're redefining it, you're getting it clearer, and you're making sure that you're hitting the mark with your clients. So, yeah, any more big mistakes that you see being made?
Yep. Absolutely. There's a few more. Another one is people don't have a very clear call to action. And that's kind of a fancy marketing term that just means that you are clear about what you want people who are interested to do. What's the first next step that people are interested they need to do. And then once you've decided on this, whether it's signing up for my free report or signing up, requesting a free consultation or trying a sample of my product, whatever that first call to action is, then communicating that everywhere. So on your website, in your email signature, on your business card, when you're out networking, when you're speaking. And I see that all the time, that people, they miss doing this. They're not making the call to action. And people are happy to do things that you invite them to do, but it costs a lot of energy and time to try to figure out, well, what should I do? Should I call the person? Should I email the person? No. So you want to make it super easy for people to take the next step, invite them to take this next step, and use this consistently across all your platforms to get people on your list.
That's a really great reminder to me, actually, because again, as your business evolves, and that call to action may change, and it's about, I just want to invite people now, if they're listening into the call, just to go and check what is your call to action. I think that's something that I need to go and look at, actually, myself.
Yeah, that's a perfect fit with what you talked about before. As you evolve, your call to action may evolve as well. So very important there.
Yeah.
And another big mistake, which actually it's not really sexy at all. It's quite boring, but it really can make the difference between success and failure, and that is marketing consistently. It's just amazing what will happen if you just stick with it and do more of what's working and do it on a regular basis. I come across people that are attracted, by the next new thing, and they want to try this, or they only try it for a couple weeks, and of course that's not going to work. So consistency is king, and if you just stick with it and pay attention and notice what works and do more of that, you will be amazed.
Yeah, it's one of the things that I see as well, women who literally are just on the brink of success with something or a breakthrough, and you ask them how it's gone, and they feed back to me that they've given up, and I'm like, just around the corner, you're about to have that breakthrough. And sometimes when you're working with somebody, you can actually almost see where they're heading before they can see, and I love that other one that you were talking about there with your consistency. I call it the shiny penny as well. Sometimes somebody may say, have you tried this? Have you tried that? And we become distracted, don't we? And we go off and we try these other things rather than just sticking with.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And the last point that I just see a lot of people making is that they're just waiting. They're waiting. Should I start this? Should I wait? Should I launch this? Should I? And I always say, take action now. You know enough. Begin. Waiting does not serve you. It does not serve your clients. So begin.
Yeah, the perfect time will never come, will it? So I think there's a lot of fear around that. I need to get things perfect. But I hear what you're saying, and I think that's an incredibly important message. We kind of just have to feel our way through this, and we are going to make mistakes along the way. And I think if we can just get comfortable with that, then the sooner we will start to move forward. But yeah, the waiting game, that's a big one, isn't it?
It is, and you make a great point. I mean, we will make mistakes, and that's normal. So, accept that and get out of procrastination that is not serving anyone. And what I've noticed is it's like a muscle. The more you do it, the easier it gets. And action creates momentum. So once you begin, even if it's a baby step, you can build on that, and that will help you keep going and just continue. Yeah,
that's so true. And what a great tip. Because what I love here is we're talking about mistakes, but at the same time we're already focusing on some of the solutions, which is, very, very exciting, because, it can be really challenging when you set out in business. It can be challenging years down the line, especially if things change. For example, you may change your niche. It's something that I see quite often. We may set out to run a business with one particular target audience, and actually find that that's actually not where maybe our passion lies, or another opportunity comes our way, and we start to move niches, which brings me on really nicely to my next question, which is, why do you think that business owners are afraid of choosing a niche?
Right, that's a really common experience, and it's because it's that fear of missing out. So if I choose this one, then I lose that one, and what about them? And I don't want to leave them out, and my solution really does help everyone. And that might be true, and at the same time, everyone knows that if you have a niche, it's much more attractive. If you're the coach for divorced moms versus I help all women with transition, which one are you going to pick if you're a divorced mom? It's just a no-brainer. So I think the key there is to give yourself peace of mind and to feel comfortable and confident about choosing a niche is that you need to take a good hard look and make sure that the group you select can be identified, they can be reached, you can get in touch with them, and that they're willing to pay for your services, and that there's enough of them. And if those criteria are there, then you can just relax and, focus your message and decide to go for it. And like you mentioned, either if you change your mind later or you want to add additional groups, you can, but just start with one because it will make your life so much easier. It'll make your marketing more effective. You'll spend less time and energy, and you'll get better results. That's
fabulous. And, actually, I've just realized as I'm listening to you here how that ties in so nicely with the very first mistake that we were talking about,
Yes.
So, there is so much value in spending the time, getting really, really clear on, who you're marketing to. And, yeah, it's something that I come across all the time. In fact, I was talking to one of my clients yesterday. We were just literally going back to the drawing board and talking about these very same topics that you and I are talking about today. So I don't think we can have too much of this stuff, Stephanie.
No, it's really important to, like you said, continually revisit it and look with fresh eyes. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's a little bit like watching a film, isn't it? You could watch the same film a couple of times over, and I'm sure you would see a different scene in a different light, in a different way, So, and obviously as our skills and our capabilities develop, then, we're often ready to look at things in a different way as well. So, this is really exciting stuff, and it's just, I love doing these interviews because every time I do, Stephanie, it starts making me want to, really look forward to my creative business time, which I set aside on Mondays, and, to really come back to the drawing board and looking at some of these questions.
I think that's great that you set aside a day for that. That's a great tip for your audience to be structured in the approach to running your business.
Yeah, and it's something that I've been really doing for the last 6 months. And, the whole idea behind that was to create the habit. And, some days it means that I don't even go into the office. Creative business time could be in a little cafe somewhere. Sometimes it might even be in the swimming pool, but it's about being quiet and allowing the new ideas to come through and, sometimes it might be actually working on a project as well, writing, all sorts of things can come into that creative business time. So, yeah, it's something that I really enjoy. And also, the other thing with that is it also gives me that cushion. If I have been particularly busy the week before, I have got that little bit of time then to just catch up. So,
yeah. Great idea. And cushions are important. People don't schedule enough open time, and that's why they can get stressed out and maybe even burned out. So that's another great tip that you're giving.
Yeah, and I'm so glad that you addressed that as well, because that was the exact reason that I set that up, Stephanie, because I was becoming burnt out back in the early summer this year, and I kind of thought, I can't carry on like this. I need to do something. And yes, there were a lot of things that needed doing business-wise at that point, but something had to change. So yeah. But anyway, I want to hear some more of your magic, not mine. Visibility in the marketplace is so incredibly important. When I set up my business, I I mean, most people know my story, and I didn't have a business background. I came from education. I kind of had a website and I had a telephone. I couldn't understand why it didn't ring, and I wasn't becoming visible, Stephanie. Can you share some tips or some ideas around not only how to stand out in your business, but a little bit around the why it's so important?
Yeah, I love this question. Visibility, it's standing out, being seen. And to do that, there's the how to do it, but the why. And of course, if you don't stand out, then you don't get noticed. And so then your phone won't ring. And I think the easiest way to do this is it kind of sounds cliche, but to be yourself, because there's no one who is like you. And the more authentic you can be and show your quirks, show the odd things you're interested in, and share those parts of yourself, people can connect with you, and then you stand out because you're different from the rest. I mean, nobody wants the same old thing, the vanilla, the plain cow. Seth Godin, the marketing genius, he talks about the purple cow. You've got to be remarkable. You have to do something which has a lot to do with you, yourself as a business owner, in addition to how you run your business, that will make you stand out.
I think this is such a very topical point, actually. I really want to say thank you for sharing this, because I think there are a lot of women who worry about being themselves because they're wanting to or desiring to be the finished product, completely perfect, and I loved the way that you said, show up with all your quirks. It's actually attractive, and I think, the more people that share the message that you've just shared there, the more permission we're giving to ourselves to show up just as we are, because we are enough.
That's so true, and it is. I think you're so right about that. It is a fear that maybe women have more than men, and it's just amazing when you see people be. The more you can be yourself and not this idea of what you think people want or trying to look like your competitors, and just fully embrace who you are and how you approach the world, and also how you see the world. So taking a stand about positions, because you want to be polarizing, not for the sake of being polarizing, but for the sake of attracting the people that connect with you and letting the people that don't go another direction. So stand for something, be willing to share that and the reasons why, and embrace all of you and bring that to the table, and you'll see people will become much more attracted to you. Yeah.
Can you share a little bit with us around the how we may stand out?
Well, I think that it has to do with you yourself, so that how you are in the world, your being. It can have even to do with how you dress, the color of your hair, how you walk, the things that matter to you, the books you read, like I said, taking a stand, taking a position. And then, of course, you have to be willing to be seen. So you're going to have to go out, which it can be like this, doing a teleseminar or a webinar, so you don't actually have to leave the house, but to go out and network and be a speaker, be interviewed for things, to be willing to step up and step out, because you can't only be seen if you're just sitting in your house and you don't leave ever. I mean, you can use the internet to drive traffic, social media and all those things, but at some point you're going to have to let your voice be heard.
That's very true, and I also feel that listening in to our chat today, we're going to have women that have been in business for a long time, but we're also going to have women who are much more near the beginning of their journey, and I'm kind of just reminding myself now that, sometimes I felt personally that I didn't always have the confidence to go out and do those things. Do you have any advice around, I personally at that time wasn't a confident public speaker. So would you say it was necessary that we all need to sort of jump on the bandwagon of public speaking, or, share a little bit around that for me, what your thoughts are at least?
Yeah, well, what you mentioned at the beginning is that I suggest that people use marketing strategies that they're comfortable with, because if you're not, you won't do them. And at the same time, you do have to continually stretch and grow as a business owner. So while public speaking is not a requirement for everyone, it's such an amazing way to connect with people that if you're nervous about that, work on building your confidence and then start small. So if you feel more comfortable being behind the scenes, you could start with maybe a teleclass and then try a local group where it's not a big group and test the waters. There's also, I'm sure everyone knows about Toastmasters. It's a worldwide international group where you can learn the skills of public speaking, get positive feedback, be surrounded by peers. So it's just a matter of actually doing it, and if you want to improve your skills, then there are definitely resources to do that, and just begin somewhere. So, and if you just really can't stand the thought of speaking or doing a teleseminar, at least networking and being out there where you can connect with people is a really good start.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite words within the entrepreneurial world. Connection.
I love it too. Yeah.
Yeah, and you just don't know who knows who. And I love what you were saying here as well about, we really need to get out of our comfort zone and just give things a try. Sometimes you're pleasantly surprised that the things that we feel that we're not going to enjoy, actually we realise maybe it's not as bad as we thought. So I love what you're saying, just give it a try. You don't know. And also, I believe that there are so many women these days with incredible messages that need to be heard, that need to be shared with the world. And sometimes that driving force can be all it takes to get up there and stand in front of an audience.
Yes, yes. I'm going to take this opportunity to also really plant the seed about video. I mean, I'm trying to get everybody to do video, and it's an amazing tool, and people are scared. I get it. It's the same thing as speaking. But if you just try it, just begin. Make one video. You don't have to show anyone, and see how it goes. Make another one. It's really an amazing way to connect when you can't be, local and you want to reach people around the world. It's an amazing tool, and it's so easy to do it now with the technology. So please, everyone, think about video.
Yeah, fabulous. And maybe we'll have to encourage women listening into this to actually post some of their videos in our Global Winning Women Facebook group.
That's a great idea. That is a fantastic idea.
Yeah, it's a safe community there, Stephanie. And, it's great to be able to start experimenting, and get some really positive feedback from other women. So, hey, maybe we need to start the ball rolling, you and me.
Let's do it.
Fabulous. Okay, so we've talked a little bit about, the importance of and how to stand out from the crowd in our business, and it is incredibly important. And I know, really, we could have had a call just around that, but there's so many other things I'd love to talk to you about. And one of them is, before we went live, we were talking a little bit about how easy it is to connect these days. And I was saying to you about, when I set up my business back in 2004. But, what I'm so aware of, Stephanie, is how much marketing has changed in that time. It really, really has. What would you say hasn't changed so much?
Right. Well, there's always these new tools. I mean, and I'm on, using a lot of them as well. But they're just tools or channels, or you can see them as vehicles. But underneath all of that, underneath whatever the latest Twitter, Pinterest tool is, it's about connecting with people. What you said before, connecting. It's about being proactive, connecting people, giving people referrals, introducing people to each other, getting to know each other, building relationships, sharing information. That's at the core. It's just building relationships with people over time, and how you do it okay, there's new tools and they're fantastic, so use them. But don't forget that it's not about the tool, it's about people.
So important. Yeah, absolutely. And what I always think is, if we're not doing that, if we're not talking to other people and building those relationships, we're actually missing opportunities to grow our own business. You never know who maybe sat next to you at an event or something. And us British, we can be very insular at times and, appear to be minding our own businesses. But, we really do need to get out there and articulate what we're great at. And we're here to serve, and I really believe that this whole connection thing is, when we come together, well, what I say, Stephanie, is when we come together, when women come together particularly, the magic happens.
Yeah.
But it's no good just all turning up in the same room or, within the same Facebook group if you're not interacting.
That's so true. I mean, and the thing is, it's kind of counterintuitive. You think, well, how is it going to help me if I'm connecting people and introducing people and giving referrals? But that's just how it works. When you do that, when you're out there serving and connecting, amazing things happen. And it doesn't always come from the people that you're actually referring and connecting. It's some sort of, I'm not trying to get woo-woo here, but it's some kind of karma that happens when you're connecting people and helping people, really.
Yeah, and I guess it comes back to the old adage about, we like people who, we're attracted to people like us.
Sure.
And it's all very much around being open and willing to help one another. That's attractive in itself, isn't it? I know that I definitely would want to recommend my the people that I work with help me when, what am I trying to say here? What I'm really trying to say is, we can't just hold ourselves back and not share the greatness of other people as well. I genuinely want to talk about the greatness of others, not because it's an affiliate marketing thing or anything like that. I do it because it's kind of from my heart. People make the world go round, don't they?
Yeah, and it has to come from your heart. I mean, when you do it from the heart, and you should do it with no expectations. Don't do it, expecting, if I do this, great things will happen. It's to be done in and of itself as something that is adding value to other people and is helpful and will improve their lives and businesses because of that. And that's reason enough.
Thank you, Stephanie. You said that so much better. That's what I was trying to say. It just wasn't coming out. Thank you. Oh, goodness me. I'm just thinking now, anything else that hasn't really changed around marketing, or is there anything else that you want to say around that before I move on?
I think that was the main point. I just wanted to just make sure that people focused on the core of what they're doing it and why they're doing it, and not necessarily the how. So the channels are not as important as the reasons why you do it.
Okay, I kind of would like to explore a little bit. If this is okay with you, sometimes we can get people interested. We can encourage them to take the next steps, but kind of I think. And I don't know if you're the same, but it's almost like a journey that we're kind of taking our potential clients on. What happens if we've worked with somebody and we've given them great value, but yet we know that there is more that we could be offering them further down the line? How can we extend that a little bit more?
Well, I think this is important to think about all of your product offerings, all of your service offerings, and if there's kind of a natural flow or sequence to them. There doesn't always have to be that you start with A, then you go to B, then you go to C. Some people will jump in and jump around at different points, but you do always want to have the next step. So if you've worked with someone and you've helped them, you want to be able to say, okay, when you reach this point up ahead in the future, this is how I could help you then. And if you don't have those things in place, then of course you can think about, interviewing your clients, asking them what they could use, what they need from you after this. If you're not sure about what it is they need to see from you, and evolve that over time. And it's your job, as the person serving, to come back to them. And so ask them, is it okay if I come back to you, say, in 3 months and just check in and see where you're at? Because you want to follow up with them. It's not their job to come back to you and say, hey, is there anything you can help me with? No, that's not going to happen. You need to, follow up with people, check in on their progress, see how your product or service is going for them, and then find out how you can, if you have something else that you can offer them, and if not, think about if you want to create something new, or it could be even a new format, because different people like to learn in different ways, so you can leverage existing revenue streams, so e-books or e-courses, teleclass, webinar. You can take the same content and put it into different formats.
That's great. So you're kind of repurposing the same material.
You can absolutely repurpose the same material, because repetition is helpful in learning, as you know, with an education background. And it also, as a busy business owner, you need to make all your content work overtime for you. So it's serving everyone if you can produce products and services in different formats so that your clients can choose what the best format for them.
I'm loving this. I'm really, really loving what you're sharing. And I'm so glad also you talked about the follow-up. I think that's maybe one of those big mistakes, actually, that business owners sometimes make with their marketing. They kind of think that a client will come through, they will perhaps sell a product to them, or maybe do some coaching with them, or whatever it might be, depending on their business. And that's the end of the road. But it's not, is it? It's this follow-up is so important. And I had an inquiry actually from somebody that I've always stayed in touch with yesterday, who just was basically saying, I didn't know who else to turn to, but we've worked together before, and, part of the work's already done, because I know this person, I know her business, and it actually makes it easier for me as well as for her. So I think it's great that you were talking about not only follow-up, but the sequence and the steps. And I do have a question around this. I'm curious to hear really your opinion on, when we take people through this journey, maybe of sequences and steps, what would the pricing points be? Do we need to be getting more expensive as we take them through this journey, or is that not necessary?
That's a great question. And there are a lot of different viewpoints on this. I mean, ideally, you would want to have something that people can try at a reasonably low level to see if they are a good fit with you. So something like an e-book or an e-course or a book that's actually printed somewhere in the $20 to $50 range, or euro range, or pound range. And then, of course, from there, you'll probably have some products or services. Could be online courses, could be one-on-one coaching in the hundreds of euros, dollars, pounds, and then you always want to have like a VIP offering that is going to be more intensive, so a weekend workshop or one-day one-on-one coaching, because if you don't have that option, people can't buy it. So you do need to have, if you're going to err on I would start with the bigger products and services, because creating and marketing a small product is going to take almost as much time as creating and marketing a big one. So you might as well start at the top and work your way down, would be my suggestion. And if you don't have a high-end offering, you should create one today.
Great advice. Really, really great advice. And I think, I'm sure you hear this as well, that sometimes our clients may say to us, but I can't charge that much
Right.
for that high end. But actually, I have found, and I have been mentored around this as well, and I'm sure you'd agree, that it takes the same amount of time and energy to sell a high-end product as it does a lower-end one, and sometimes it's even easier.
Absolutely. So it's all about, this relates back to what you said about being confident, feeling confident, knowing that you're delivering something that is valuable, and believing in the value of that, and not selling yourself short. Very important to making a high-end offer and then having people accept it.
Yeah, and Stephanie, this leads me on very much. I'm hearing what you're saying. Sometimes we find people that kind of have all the marketing know-how but don't necessarily have the confidence. So you are a coach, a marketing coach. Is that something that you are able to help your clients with as well?
Yes, I do. In fact, I made a video about that, about building up confidence, because I did a survey and I heard that from a lot of people that said, well, sometimes I just don't feel so confident. And there are some tips you can use to get into the moment, connect with the successes you've had in the past, remember your great qualities. I advise people to make the great things about me, a little book that you can either in a Word document, or you can make a kind of scrapbook thing, but where you have to reflect and realize everything you've done, all the accomplishments, and connect with your core of who you are in this moment, and be willing to just take the next step, even if it's a small step. And again, this goes back to that action creates momentum. So if you can just get yourself going and keep going with baby steps, you'll be able to continue.
That's fabulous, and I'm so glad we addressed that, and I'm loving so much what I'm hearing you saying. I guess that there are going to be people listening who are going to well, where can I find out more about Stephanie Ward and her coaching? So where would we direct people to?
Right, so the best thing to do is to go to my website, which is fireflycoaching.com. That's all one word with no hyphens or dots.
Okay.
And that's FIREFLYCOACHING.com, and get a copy of my free special report, which is called 7 Steps to Attract More Clients in Less Time. And you can get that on any page of my website. It's right there in the sidebar, and it's throughout the text.
That's fabulous. And, I think this is so important, because we need to surround ourselves with the people that are already having the success in the areas that we would like to be having success too. So, I would really like to recommend that if you need to brush up a little bit on your marketing, go over to Stephanie's website, as she's just shared, and we'll put the link along with this call, and download that special free report and start building a relationship with Stephanie. She's incredibly knowledgeable, and knows so much about this whole marketing thing, which is so key for the success in our business.
Yeah.
I'm kind of thinking, I wonder if there are, we talked a little bit about how, business has changed, how it hasn't changed. One of the things we hear quite a lot are about trends.
Right.
And I just thought this might be a nice way to kind of just start wrapping up a little bit. But, are you seeing any current trends, Stephanie, right now? What do we need to be aware of?
Yeah. Well, I jumped the gun a little bit with the video. That is definitely a trend, and that is something that is just so important, and I just cannot emphasize enough the connection and the visibility you can get. So I encourage everyone to start with video. Mobile is also huge. In less than 2 years, mobile users are going to be bigger than desktop users. So you need to make sure your website looks good on a mobile device. You need to think about maybe doing some mobile marketing. And one thing that hasn't changed, but I would say it's still a trend, is email marketing. It just is the safest place to be. You can still get into someone's email box. That won't change. It's your, community that you build, and building a community of people that you can communicate with via email is just really a solid marketing strategy.
I'm so glad you shared that one, because I hear a lot of people talking about, everybody's unsubscribing because their inbox is really full or whatever. And, I feel very strongly that sometimes people will unsubscribe, and that's okay. Because as we're evolving, as we're getting clearer and clearer on who our target audience are, it may just be so that they aren't your target audience, and that's absolutely fine. Let them go.
Yeah.
You don't want to be marketing and putting your message in front of people that aren't interested either. So I think I'm so glad you talked about that one, because I'm hearing a lot of talk at the moment of people almost afraid to continue with their newsletters. But as you said, it's your community, it's your tribe that you've built. They want to hear from you. Yeah, that's brilliant. And I'd love to hear just a little bit. Can you share a little bit more about mobile? Obviously, I heard you very distinctly say how important it is for us to make sure that our website is showing clearly. I mean, my website's fairly new, and this was one of the things that I was looking at to make sure it would show nicely on a mobile device. But how else could we be marketing ourselves via mobile?
Well, there's different options for different people, but back to the email marketing and how it looks on your device, that's really critical, because if people are looking at your website and your call to action is interesting to them and they want to sign up for your free giveaway and email, that needs to be possible, like literally possible, so that there's not tiny boxes, or that the sign up box, that it's clear that they can do it, because again, some things don't change. To stay in touch, you need to connect, and they need to give you their email address. So that's part of it's not just aesthetically, it needs to actually functionally be possible and not be difficult in the small space. And then the other thing is, depending where you are, there's a text marketing where you can invite people to, it's kind of like email marketing, but it's for mobile phone messages, so text messages. They sign up for a code, they volunteer, it's just like giving your email address, and they confirm it, and then you can send text messages. So when your newsletter is out, or you've got a special coming up, you've got a sale coming up, or you've got a new dish at your restaurant, so that you're communicating via text, because text messages are opened, I believe, I want to say it's 98%. That sounds awfully high. I have to check that, but it's unbelievably high. When you send someone a text message, they almost immediately always open it.
And that's true. I'm just thinking about my own experience.
Yeah.
We do, don't we? You hear that little bleep on the phone, and you pick it up and you take a look. So, and it's easier because it's that little pocket device that we're carrying around with us. We don't have to go and sit at our laptops. So, gosh, there's a lot of food for thought there. And thank you so much for sharing that, because I think also it is important to be staying on top of these trends.
Yeah.
Gosh, you've shared so much amazing information with us in such a short time, Stephanie, and I'd love it if we could just reiterate again one more time your website, because it's evident you've got tons of knowledge and experience in this field, and I'd really like to be encouraging people to come and at least download your free report, which 7 steps to attract more clients in less time.
Yes, that's it, at my website, fireflycoaching.com. And while you're there, let's connect on, Twitter and Facebook, and let's start a conversation.
Fabulous. Stephanie, it's been amazing talking to you. I really want to say thank you so much for your time. I know that you have just given so much great value just during this short time that we have been talking. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
For making a difference.
Yeah, well, it's been a total pleasure talking with you, and I hope that your community finds this information helpful and that they will take action, because that's the key.
Absolutely. Thank you so much once again.
My pleasure.